Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has used his historic speech to Congress to mock pro-Palestinian protesters, branding them useful idiots for Iran. Live to Trudy McIntosh. She's on Capitol Hill in DC for us this morning. What's the mood? How's the mood so far, Trudy?
Well, Pete, there's a lot of action here. We can't actually get you any closer. We're right near this huge protest which has erupted outside Union Station. Now, that's just a few hundred metres away from the Capitol building where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was addressing that joint sitting of Congress. My cameraman, Murray McLean, was in there. They were burning flags at one point, climbing on top of the statues. They were able to also get one of the Palestinian flags on top of one of the flagpoles there outside the station. Things getting pretty tense at times. We saw a big police presence here. There's a lot of police still here on the ground. One man we saw was arrested. He was dragged out of that crowd. Police also using at times several flashbangs. I heard them myself, at least 3, to try and disperse some of this crowd. Earlier in the day, closer to the Capitol building, there was also tear gas used at one point to try and push back the crowd. A bit of back and forth was going on between police and protesters. All of this disrupting downtown Washington, D.C. at the moment because of the very fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is here. He was invited by the Republican House Speaker to appear on Capitol Hill and deliver this joint address to Congress. It's the first time he has left Israel since that attack on October 7 and the ongoing war that we are now seeing against the terror group Hamas inside Gaza. But Benjamin Netanyahu was well aware of the fact that there are protesters for his very arrival here in Washington, D.C. He made a very point of mocking them, really, in his speech to lawmakers there. He says they're being funded by Iran.
Many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
There were lots of lawmakers there in attendance, almost all Republicans, but there were notably big absences amongst the Democrats. Vice President Kamala Harris, she was not there because she decided she didn't want to be, instead on the campaign trail. Other notable absences, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, dozens and dozens of Democrats deciding not to show up and attend, some of them deliberately boycotting. Worth noting, though, the Republican vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, the Ohio senator, he's also on the campaign trail. He didn't come to attend today's speech either. As to the substance, the Israeli Prime Minister used this address to point out the acts of heroism. He says during the October 7 attack he had 3 or 4 Israeli soldiers in the crowd. He also pointed out the freed hostage Noah, who was there as the guest of honour, sitting alongside his wife Sarah, up in the boxes watching on. She was freed back in June. We also heard, though, a message for President Biden, a message of thanks from ministers, despite that had a tense relationship at times. He was also asking America, though, for more support.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten. Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster.
In the crowd today, sitting right behind Benjamin Netanyahu's wife, well, it was the tech billionaire Elon Musk. He was in the room for today's big address. Mr. Netanyahu, Pete, now has the honour of being the world leader who's addressed America's Congress the most times. He has overtaken Winston Churchill today, having addressed Congress now 4 times. Winston Churchill did it 3 times.
Interesting. I love a good stat, and that's a good one. Trudy McIntosh, thank you.